And here we go, folks. Got to play our intro, though. Got to do this by the book. Well, we're going to, instead of the usual intros, J-Mac and I managed to make it right on time. So, which is a miracle considering what we were both dealing with.
That's right.
So we'll
Returning to the party.
We'll say hi to people in chat. Ibazunka. Jeff Yarrington. Those are people who are chatting with us so far. Jeff is my Bigfoot vlog buddy. Linda Thompson's in.
Tommy
Now
Boy's
people
here.
are coming in. Tommy Boy Productions. So I did see a familiar name last week that we'll see if he pops in and hopefully he behaves tonight. Mr. Duffy popped in last week.
Oh, did he? That's nice.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Sure. Why not? I'm up for a good time.
Oh, is there any way we can turn the mic up just a little bit?
Yeah. So we discussed that before
Oh,
the
your
show.
voice.
Is this any better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a full house and a lot of replays on this tonight. So it sounds like J-Mac and I were both under the weather last week. I wound up actually sleeping almost 20 hours on Wednesday from being ill, and J-Mac is messing with his vocal cords. So, and yes, he's doing just like on his show, folks. He is a superhero in the Bigfoot world, so we need to keep his identity secret, which is why he's like this. So, Mr. J-Mac, let's start. How did you get into this? What made you start looking at big? I like the fact that you specialize in just doing the Bigfoot pictures. You don't get into the whole tree structures and footprints and things like that. What made you decide to strictly go faces?
Strictly, I mean, I'll talk about anything that's interesting, but frankly, like, lights in the sky are kind of blasé at this point. And I feel like, tree structures and footprints and stuff like that, although interesting, just there's more in the world as far as like, creature, photography or video or something like that. So I kind of just go for it, and I don't mean to sound like I only do things that are sensational, but I think looking at an actual Bigfoot is cooler than looking at the tree structure they build,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, technically you got at least a 50-50 chance with a tree structure. Is it man or is it Bigfoot, where a better chance of, it being a Bigfoot instead of a guy in a suit, especially with, I mean, I watch your show whenever I can catch it live. So the photos are amazing and where you're getting them. And it's like, I'm surprised. Kathy Westerman, I got to shout her out because she does put some amazing stuff out there.
Yeah, I was hoping Kathy's going to stop by tonight. I don't know.
So how long have you been doing this now?
Well, I started the YouTube or started the Facebook rather. I think it was 5 years ago now. But I mean, I've been into like Bigfoot and like anything weird since I was a kid. If you remember those like Weekly World News black and white magazines used to be at the checkout, and those things were my jam when I was a kid. If I could get anybody to spend 99 cents on one of those so I could read it cover to cover, I would.
So you're old enough to remember Newsweek and the National Enquirer and stuff, huh?
Sure. I guess so. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make me feel so old now, but it does make me think though, because before, I was probably in my teens then, so I'm probably quite a bit older than you. The they were just jokes at the time, but now, looking back, it makes you wonder how many maybe those encounters were actually legit, but they were just made to be jokes.
Yeah. Did you ever watch MacGyver when you were a kid?
A little bit. I
So
did
they have
hear
one.
I did hear there was an episode, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's very good. It's one. It's I can't say it's what got me started on Bigfoot, but definitely it was fascinating. They're down there using a guy in a costume with a Bigfoot howl to protect illegal oil drilling. So MacGyver goes down there to break the whole thing up and figure out what's what. And then once he figures out that it's all fake, at the very end of the episode, there's a very long howl in the background, and he turns around and looks, and that's the end of the episode. And I think that started the mystery of the whole thing.
Everybody's got their starting points. That's a cool one though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, to actually that's a nice way of cliffhanger for it. Now I do gotta say though, for a diehard Bigfooter, I don't know how you managed to resist the urge when you went to Myaka, one of the most famous photos around, and you didn't go squatching.
Yeah, no, I didn't. We've been down there a couple times, and the first time we were there, they had just gotten over that huge hurricane they had, like the big Cat 4. And so we didn't bother going then. And then this last time we were so much in vacation mode. It was just like, man, I couldn't tell my girl like, hey, by the way, put your boots on. We're, we're going out to the swamp for a few hours. So we just kind of did a couple things and left it at that. But I'll be back. Tommy
So do
Boy
you
is great for facts, by the way. So he's telling us right now it's the Christmas tree episode. This is the MacGyver thing. Every
oh,
time
got
I
ya.
say something, Tommy Boy will go look up a fact about it and always have some cool fact to read.
You, I love being there. You got a great chat. That's you got
A
some
lot of fun.
rockers in there, that's for sure. Um, so how often do you actually go out quite a bit then, or
So I go out. I mean, my girl and I love to hike. I'm gonna refer to her, by the way, from now on as Q. That's that. So if anyone's wondering why I talk about Q, that's my fiance. But yeah, we go out as much as possible, given sprained ankle here or downtime there. Of course, most people know like we're here in Central Florida, so we're always out in Altoona and Highway 19 and different areas, kind of walking and this and that. Um, Kathy has never managed to drag me out with her crew because if I'm honest, they're like really hardcore. I mean, they'll go out and walk 25 miles in a day. I'm like, yeah, I don't love anything that much. So I would rather sit back and watch her videos and watch her pictures and share them with the world than get put in a situation to have to walk 25 miles.
well, yeah, you get the highlight reel that way, without all that extra walking. Especially in Florida. I mean, you guys got things down there that will, give you the permanent dirt nap.
Florida's kind of like the Australia of the United States. Like we got a little bit of everything.
Now, what's your and we definitely you sent me some great pictures that we'll definitely want to go through. But what's
Sure.
your, have you had personal experiences?
So I have a Bigfoot story if you would like to hear it. Um,
Absolutely.
I have what the BFRO refers to as a B rated, I believe. So it's not like a visual sighting and it's not a footprint. So, um, where to start? So we were going on vacation in the Poconos, Pennsylvania, and we got our place there, and we were set up, and we would go out every night and come back, and wherever we were staying, they had a lot of pizza places for whatever reason. I don't know, but we would stop and get a pizza every night and just bring it back to the Airbnb and chill out. So the Airbnb was like not a cabin in the woods. It was in a neighborhood, but the neighborhood was surrounded by woods. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
And so we went out one night and we were coming back kind of late. It was dark, and I was driving, windy mountain road, and Q was in the passenger seat, and she gasped, and I was like, "What?" And she's like, "You didn't see those eyes?" And I stopped the car immediately, and I put it in reverse, which kind of freaked her out even more. But I didn't see anything by the time we got back, and I was like, "What was it?" She's like, "There were two big yellow eyes." She's like, "They were huge, and they were about 8 feet off the ground." And she's like, "I don't know what it was." And I was like, "Well, let me go check it out." She's like, "No, it's dark. Can we just go home?" So we left, and I did manage to go back to that area where that tree, and there was no branch in the tree, which kind of eliminated an owl,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm like, what? They don't have any elk up here. I mean, what stands that far off the ground, that has taped them loose of them, um, or eye shine if you'd rather. But so so the next morning, um, it was real early. I got up. I was gonna go make her breakfast. She's still laying in bed, and I go down to the kitchen. And again, I'm from Florida, so we don't really open our windows down here. That's pointless. You only open a window to put an air conditioner in it. You know. So up there, it was like 30 something degrees outside. And so it was really good temperature to like open the window. And I'm in the kitchen, just got some Marvin Gaye on the radio. I'm whipping eggs. I mean, this is a whole vibe. I was having a good morning, and all of a sudden, sorry, this is going to be a challenge for my crackly voice. Oh, just about a 5-second howl. And I've been around coyotes and wolves most of my life. I mean, tell me what else makes that sound. And if you go back and if you Google, or if you have a recording of the Ohio howl, it sounds identical to the Ohio howl. And of course, Pocono's not that far away from Ohio. But so yeah, so I stopped everything, grabbed my phone, turned off the music, turned on the recorder, put it on for the next 26 hours. Not a sound.
Yeah.
So what's
Isn't that the way it
interesting
goes?
about that? Yeah, that exactly. What's interesting about the whole thing, and I promise, I did not know this before I went up there. When I got home, I went on the BFRO website to see if by chance there was any reportings around the area that I was at, right? And sure enough, the neighborhood that I was staying in had 3 individual reports from 3 different houses of a bipedal hairy creature breaking into their trash can. And can you imagine how many Bigfoot sightings go unreported?
Oh
And
yeah, I
this
was just gonna
neighborhood
say
had
if the
3.
BFRO says 3, there's probably 13.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the BFRO is the tip of the iceberg. So, but that's my Bigfoot story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, it's a good one to stick to because I'm about 5 hours away from Ohio. I live up in northern Michigan, so the Ohio howl is. I learned not to call blast it. I can tell you that. That'll result in getting a log thrown at your truck. But
Right, right. It sounds that checks
anyway,
out. Yeah.
so how so you decided to start a YouTube channel, and then can you take me through the steps and how you wound up like getting these connections and where the idea came from to record your screen instead of like I'm doing?
Sure. So I'll take you back to the origins, right? We were sitting at a table in a log cabin in Blue Ridge, Georgia. We were on vacation, and I mentioned to Q, I said, I got too many pictures of Bigfoot on my phone. I was like, I got to get rid of some of these pictures, but I don't want to get rid of them. I said, I think I should start like an album on Facebook so that anybody that wants to look at them could look at them, but they're not taking up all this room on my phone. And she says to me, she goes, well, why don't you start a blog? And I said, what the hell do I know about starting a blog? And she's like, what the hell is there to know? Just put up some pictures and write a little description. So that's what I did. And if you go look at our Facebook, you'll find that we have two Facebooks. We have a blog that runs back, I don't know how many years. I mean, 5 years, whatever. Then at some point, I was like, I'd like to have a group where everybody else can interact and share stuff. So then we started a group. That one shot up to, I think it's about 11,000 followers right now. And then at
Wow.
some point, I was like, hey, I want a YouTube where I can actually dissect video. I didn't know anything about anything, by the way. I'd never done this in my life, had no clue how to do it. With her support, we learned how to manipulate video and create videos with audio and all this kind of stuff. And it was a complete learning curve. So we started the YouTube channel maybe sometime in 22. And I remember the day I told her, I was like, we need X amount of people or X amount of watch hours because you have to have 1,000 subs and you have to have like 4,000 watch hours before you're monetized or actually eligible for monetization. And I
Hmm.
remember the morning I woke up early in the morning to go to work like 5 o'clock, and I'm waking her up and I'm going, look, I'm like, we made it, we did it. And I'm like, so next thing I know, we got 1,000 followers. That turns into the 8,000 we have now. Very grateful for all the support. As far as the connections go, when we started the channel, I didn't know anybody at all. And I just started doing pictures that were sort of common and like available in the world, or, Patty and the Independence Day footage, stuff like that. But then as I started meeting people on the channel and they would send me their pictures and stuff, and I would ask them, I'm like, do I have your permission to showcase this picture in an upcoming video? And usually they would be honored. They'd be excited that somebody cared about what they were doing, and they got excited about the concept. So then I get people like, Kathy Westerman, like even Tommy Boy here, D-Boz, Scott Loomis, Monsters from Maine, Florida Bigfoot, all these little guys that no one ever talks about. They talk about, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch, and they talk about, hey, speak of the devil. They talk about,
Yeah.
Tinker
Yeah.
Thunker and these guys, and the thing is like, yeah, they're, they're good in their own right, but these little guys that are boots on the ground are not getting any, you know, any spotlight at all. So I think just being open to realizing that not every single picture is going to be a picture of Patty, and showcasing these pictures anyway, dissecting them, that built a lot of trust with these people. And so now I would say I've got, maybe 20, 25 friends that are part of the Bigfoot community that send me pictures regularly, you know, and that's the kind of pictures I really enjoy sharing. We can pick out the AI pictures and, the ones that are junk, and even the really good one from Ayaka that's complete fake, but the ones that come from people that and you're like, man, that's kind of unexplainable. Those are the kind of pictures that I jump into and enjoy the most.
Yeah, so you said you had a bunch of them on your phone before you even started. Where did those come from?
Just honestly, um, a lot of internet research, just passion for the subject, going along and finding this and finding that. Because I mean, there's a lot of, let's be honest, there's a lot of pictures of Bigfoot that you can get just by scouring the internet, you know. But those are the more common ones. So those pictures, like I said, were just kind of junking up my phone, and I was like, I got to get rid of these pictures. And like I said, the blog became the way to do that, and here we are.
I always love when somebody can take a passion and turn it into something really special. You know, just off topic, I know a couple kids that had been wanting to be on Shark Tank for 13 years, and I think it was just 2 years ago they finally made it with their action wheel product, and so they made Shark Tank their dream. And here you are with all the Bigfoot pictures, and from MacGyver all the way up till now, look where you're at. And
We're
so,
getting somewhere, Brian. Yeah, I mean, we're slowly getting there, and I think that's how you build anything, and slowly. We did have a viral video. It was weird. We had a viral video like maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and it was the stupidest thing. And that's the kind of things that go viral. Like, these awesome pictures that I get from my viewers, there'll never be a viral video about that. But there was that Russian car commercial. The car was, I think the brand was Koda, and I think the brand of the car was Yeti. So the car company had made the commercial of the big Russian Yeti, big white Yeti, had like grabbed this guy and was like flinging him around like a rag doll, and then they both went tumbling down the hill, and it was very cool, but it was obviously fake. And I don't necessarily understand people from Ohio, but they started tagging it only in Ohio, and it went eight, and I think it was like 1.7 million views or whatever, and that was our first viral experience.
uh-oh, maybe you can help me with this real quick. I just did something naughty. I accidentally banned Tommy Boy. I got to figure out how to unban Tommy Boy.
I can't help you with that, but you're
Oh,
welcome to try to
man.
figure it out.
I feel absolutely horrible. How do I find
I only have access to Tommy through email.
let's
Um,
see.
Funny, this happened the last time we did a podcast too. Kathy got banned. Speaking
Oh,
of
man.
D-Boss,
I went
where's
to,
where's Boss Lady?
show for links. Gosh darn it, Tommy Boy, I am so sorry. It, he, Mr. Duffy clicked up before, and then by
Yeah,
the time I hit ban, it's like, gosh dang it.
if you can figure out how to unblock him, I'll send him an email explaining what just happened.
Let's see. I can't even see any of his past comments. Gosh dang it. I would say something else, but I'm on somebody else's channel, so I can't say
Right.
that.
Can't say everything. Tommy, you accidentally got blocked from the chat. Hang tight. We are trying to figure out how to get you back.
Oh man, invite. Can't invite him. Where's the moderator when I need one?
Hey, I tell you what, Tommy. Speaking of Tommy and Kathy, they're my two moderators, and there's some days, man, I'm very thankful for them. Your chat starts getting out of hand, and then you have other things you're trying to take care of. In fact, it's kind of nice for me tonight. Like, I'm kind of just sitting here and like I don't have much to handle. Like,
I know, and it's only your second interview, and I wanted to make it special, and I make it special by banning one of the good guys. That's not so good.
can't go much worse than the last one. Let me tell you.
Oh man. What was it? The other night I did an impromptu live, and we're chatting away, and next thing I know, it was 12 minutes of dead air. I forgot to hit the go live button.
Oh, yikes!
All right. Well, Tommy, I am sorry. I cannot figure out how to unban.
You know, I'll tell you what. And the thing about it is like you're live right now, and it's probably like deep in the settings somewhere. You got to go to like YouTube and go through all the. I don't know. You know, Tommy's a cool
Yeah.
guy. He'll understand.
Tommy, I'm sorry. I know I just got crossed off the Christmas list, but
Oh no.
hopefully you're still listening and accept apologies. And let's let's check out some of these pictures that you were kind enough to
Let's do
send
it.
me.
Let's do it.
So all the way up here. Here we go. So
Just
what's
saying.
this guy or girl?
So this is Dutchy Beliefs. She is from, man, don't let me screw this up. She's from the Netherlands, I believe. And what's interesting about it is that the Netherlands, like Europe as a whole, is pretty much agreed that there's no Bigfoot creatures there. But we're getting more and more pictures from these type of areas every day, and this is one of them. I mean, there's not much else I can say. If you zoom in on the center mass here, you're going to see a very large creature with a big face and big nose. I mean, it's just not much to describe on there. And what's cool about Dutchy is that one of her pictures, she has a few. One of her pictures, the creature is actually wearing sunglasses, and we tend to believe that they just they I don't want to say steal, but they find things are trash and they'll use it. So I tend to think that if you see one of these creatures with sunglasses or something like that, um, I don't think it's that uncommon.
Yeah, a lot of people get a lot of guff about saying that they use clothes and stuff, but at the same time, if they're half as intelligent as we think they are, I mean, they got to get bored. And if they see little kids running around in cowboy suits and Buzz Lightyear and all that stuff, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe they
why not?
want to maybe they want to go to infinity and beyond too.
Well, one of Kathy's like kind of famous pictures is uh, is of two creatures, and one of them has a ponytail. And I tend to people like, oh, BS. There's no. I'm like, you know what? Look, you can't say that we didn't learn that from them. I mean, they've obviously been here longer than us. The Native American tribes talk about growing up next to them and this and that. So to say that there's no possible way that they have ponytail, I think is naive. You know?
Yeah, because and that was one thing we were going to talk about when I was in your chat was beauty tips because as we put it, um, it looks like MK Davis, found a braid on Patty in the new enhance that he did. So it
Yeah.
looks like a ponytail coming down, and then I know there's reports of uh, them braiding the manes on horses and even braiding their tails to the post.
So I haven't
So
done it yet. I want to make a podcast, but it would be I have a Patreon. And the reason I started a Patreon is because Facebook was banning some of the videos that we were doing. Our Patreon is a little more uncut or edgy discussion,
yeah,
And I want to do a podcast with Q, and that is one of the subjects. It's fairy braids. I think it's a very cool subject that nobody talks about, and I would love to dig deep into that subject.
into what part of it?
fairy braids. It's the
Oh
idea
yeah.
that Bigfoot braids horse manes and tails and stuff like that, because a lot of people chuck that off to being fairies, which I'm not going to get into
Oh
that, but that's why they're called fairy braids. But I do believe there is a logical explanation for that, and I believe the explanation is Bigfoot.
yeah. Pancho Zorro just put up the Bigfoot I saw appeared to have his or her back hair was braided like cornrows.
Hmm.
So almost like going to a wedding, kind of well done, made up of the nines. Could have been plumbing. Plumbing.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
But
Um, I,
so
I don't disagree though. Like I said, I really don't disagree. I think there's a lot of things that could have been wedding. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel that they're kind. You know, some of the creatures are kind, right? And they build like a relationship with these horses or cows or whatever. And again, there's a lot of subjects I'm not going to dive into, especially on this particular live format. But yeah, I've heard of relationships with cows and braiding the horse manes because out of some sort of love, or I don't know, you could say boredom. I mean, I think it's more about care, honestly.
no, now it just hit me what topics you're talking about. And yeah, that one we might not be able to get into, but um
No, not today, Brian.
I I have heard stories of relationships like that, we'll say. The
Yeah, they're
so
out
this
there.
picture, what
Yeah,
do we got
Alabama
here? This looks
White
like a
Thing, huh?
night thermal one.
Yeah, that's the Alabama White Thing. It's supposed to be, I'm gonna say, one of two legitimate sightings of an albino Bigfoot in the United States. That one is from Alabama. I
Oh
agree,
wow.
it's not thermal. It was taken at night, and that's just the quality of the picture. How it comes out.
Let's see here. Now there was a topic I know we can talk about that we both had answers for. So I would love to hear your take on the Bigfoot and human buffet. Is that a thing?
Yeah, yeah, it's totally a thing, and again, I know that there's some people. I don't know if it's just people's mentality or however you want to break it up, but there's some people that don't want to think about Bigfoot being a wild creature. Bigfoot is a feral beast, and I know that there's theories about them being, um, you know, transdimensional and they're this and they're that. But for me, like I want to talk about Bigfoot as as it stands. It's a creature that requires sustenance. And as humans, we're walking around as just bags of protein. And I know that, even bears and stuff don't really want to mess with us because they know that we're too much of a fight. They would rather just find something easy. But if you're dealing with a certain section of or sect of Bigfoot that are hungry, that they don't have a lot of food source for whatever reason, it's the same difference between black bears and polar bears. Okay, like I live in Florida. If I saw a black bear in my front yard, I would stomp my foot at it and yell, and it would run away like a scared dog. But if I was in Alaska or Antarctica, whatever, the Arctic Circle, and I came across a polar bear,
Yeah.
you better run as fast as you can, and he's going to catch you and he's going to eat you. And he's not going to be discriminate about it because he has a complete lack of food source. There's not just deer and elk walking around in the Arctic Circle. So, yeah, if they see you, they will eat you. So, the same idea with a Bigfoot. I'm not saying that every Bigfoot you run into is going to eat you. No, but I wouldn't take a chance. If you see a Bigfoot, you should do your best to get the hell away from them. I know that it's fascinating, and like I myself would have a hard time, like, but you need to get to safety. And I mean, the stories throughout history back that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the time it's just a risk versus reward. You know, if you're easy pickings, you're by yourself and he's hungry or she's hungry,
Yeah.
you know, I hope you had all your affairs in order because there's nothing you're going to do to stop it.
They don't care. I mean, like I said again, yes, they are sensitive. Yes, they are intelligent. So are chimps. And chimps have known to be they're cannibalistic. You know, they would eat humans, given the opportunity. So I just don't think that we can. You first of all, you can't judge an entire species on the one creature that you came across, right? Let's say
Yeah.
that you have a tribe that lives in the woods behind your house, or you have four that you know of. That doesn't mean that every creature in the world of the same species is going to react the same way. So watch
Yeah.
your ass out there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. They're individuals. And I've said for years now that even the best Squatch can have the worst day and make a bad day for a good human. You
Imagine
know,
one good backhand, they'd find you across the street.
oh man, it'd be all over but the crying, that's for sure. You know, it really
So
would.
this guy here, his name is Abe Sias. Um, Again, I've never actually had a conversation with this guy, but I did get permission to share his pictures. He's down for it. He has a lot of interesting stuff. And here's the thing. So I will not buy, under any circumstances, that Bigfoot are related to Nephilim. I'm sure that everyone probably already knows, but anyway, Nephilim are the creatures in the Bible that were supposed to watch the humans and then fell in love with the humans, or they actually the Watchers fell in love with the humans. They bred the Nephilim, which were the giants. So, that's a story from the Bible, but we're talking about real life current creatures that live among us. So I will not entertain the idea that they're the same thing. But my buddy Abe Sias here, that's his entire belief, is that all of these creatures that you see and the creatures that he films, he gets good shots. This one, I found it on a kind of a quick notion, and may not be his best one, but he's got some good shots, and he believes that they are all Nephilim.
Yeah, I don't know where to. I I don't think they are either, but I haven't drawn a line in the sand. I'm not. To me, it's not an argument that I'm gonna butt heads with people over. Just like
Right? I mean, you got to choose a hill to die on, and I get that, but
yeah,
that one, nah.
yeah. That's yeah, that's the thing. There's so much to for a community that is on such a niche subject. It is amazing to me the amount of uh, opinions people think is like you pointed out. You can't judge a whole species on one or two that you've encountered. But people are willing to say that just because the Bigfoot that I dealt with, and believe it or not, when we were doing the peanut butter, did the creamy. They wouldn't touch the frickin' crunchy. I even tried to mess with them and switch because I thought maybe it was the color of the lid, because red's creamy and the blue is crunchy. So I switched the lids. Still didn't touch crunchy, but I can't say no
Yep.
Bigfoot like peanut butter, crunchy peanut butter. So I know
Look,
that's a
man,
goofy example, but it's just one of those that you can't.
no grown person has time to mess with crunchy peanut butter, dude.
Yeah, it's let alone. you I'll send you some shots sometime of literally because I leave the tinfoil on. At first I was taking it off, and then I thought, well, let's see how smart they are. Can they smell that? And then, go back and then you find the lid screwed on, but then the tinfoil is peeled completely off in one piece. So
I want to make a
just
real quick announcement. I just talked to Tommy Boy. He said that he can still see and hear the show, and he does not hold grudges. So that makes me feel better that he's still listening. Thank you, Tommy. Such a loyal viewer for so long. I appreciate everything that he does.
that's why I feel so bad, because every time I'm in your chat, he's in there, and it's like, so I know he's a good person, and I just
You know,
have crappy hand-eye coordination.
I remember we used to do the show at 10 o'clock at night, which is okay. Let me back up. I think we did it at like 8:30, and then I got a second job at some point, so I had to do it at 10 o'clock. And then when I didn't have to do the second job, I stopped doing it. I started doing it at 7 or 7:30. I have never lost the amount of people that still come, still share their stories. And the thing is, man, like you've been in our lives. It doesn't always end up on Bigfoot. Sometimes we talk about wrestling. Sometimes we're talking about football or what
Yeah.
beer we're drinking or whatever. But it's just become a really tight knit group, and it all comes down to our love of weird stuff.
Yeah, and I would, if I had your address, I would send a sympathy card about those Steelers and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I would deserve it. I would take it, put it up on the wall,
They,
magnet to the fridge. you know. Um, yeah, we'll see how that goes. So this picture right here, man. Speaking of D-Boss, where's Boss Lady? Why is she not here? What's going on? This is Kathy Westerman, and this creature here. Oh man, like I said, she knows the stories better than I do. But this creature stole a pair of glasses that belonged to one of the team. I think maybe Pam, but I couldn't swear to it. Um, but anyway, so it stole the glasses and then it returned the glasses to the same area.
really?
Yeah, she has some wild. I mean, the only thing more wild than her pictures are her stories. It's crazy out there, dude. And the thing that people don't know about Kathy, or maybe they do, but she used to be a paranormal investigator before she was ever into the subject of Bigfoot. In fact, the only reason, and the picture, you'll find the picture amongst what I sent you. The only reason that she ever got into Bigfoot is because she was hiking. She would like to hike, and she would take pictures of tree structures. So she got this monster picture of a Bigfoot, or a skunk ape, if you will, in the middle of this tree structure. And from then on, her concern went to Bigfoot. And so now she's out there. But she always has this crazy mix of spiritual happenings. That's the picture right there. That's a zoomed in version of the picture. Um,
I mean, you got eyes, nose, everything, brow ridge.
so do this though, right? So you see the big trees. That's all tree structure. It's behind a big tree structure. And I may have sent you the unzoomed version. I'm not sure. But the face that you're viewing on the right hand side of this white branch, I want you to go ahead and look over to the left of that same branch. You'll see the back of another creature, the head, and you'll see the little ponytail that I'm talking about.
Oh, got
And
you.
it's looking off to the right. The creature in the front is looking directly at Kathy.
Yeah,
Now I'll
so
tell you something. Yeah, there's two creatures in this picture. I'll tell you something. We went through many years of thinking that this was one creature, and it took a fresh pair of eyes to walk in and go, "Oh, I see two." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Where's the second one?" And they're like, after we saw it, we're like, "How did we not see this before?" There's no way that the head of this creature, because look at the head, it's split by that white branch. There's no way it's that large. The head is not that wide. That's two different creatures.
yeah, because on the right you can see the eye and then the nose and what looks like another eye. So for it to be one creature, that'd be really a deformed face to have the nose that far over.
Right. So then again, exactly. So skip to the other side of this white branch, and you'll see the back of the other creature's head and the little ponytail, but it's looking off to the right. And in fact, in the very larger version of this picture, we feel that you can see a third creature that creature is looking at. They travel in packs, you know.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of time it seems like Kathy catches them like they're all grouped together to try to save what's the word, look smaller instead of the three big ones standing side by side. They tend to huddle up.
Sure. And Kathy is one of the first. I'm not gonna say the first, but I think one of the first boots on the ground researchers to ever truly adopt thermal imaging. And the stuff that she catches on thermal is bonkers. I mean, it's just nuts, man. You're like, this is something that I'm standing in broad daylight and I can't see. I can't see with the human. I'm sorry, this picture's making me laugh.
Yeah.
I can't see with human eyes, but if I turn on a thermal and I'm now detecting a heat source, and the stuff that she catches on thermal is just crazy. So I'm laughing because this is the infamous "it's not an owl" picture.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
oh man, there has been a burning debate about this photo for years. And in fact, I did I think I did 2 videos on this one picture. But on the right here, obviously, you're going to see what is obvious to me anyway, is at the very top there, you'll see a head, like a little oval head. And then to the left, you're going to see a big jut out. And then on the right, you'll see another jut out. And then you're going to see these white patches on the back of the creature. And then towards the bottom, you'll see what to me is very clearly feathers. This is a picture of an owl, and it's swooping down.
Oh,
It's on a game camera. It's swooping down on top of a little creature. If you look at the very bottom left, you'll see like a little leg, like a little dark leg that could be maybe a boar or maybe a baby deer. I don't know exactly what the creature is, but anyway. So yeah, like if you look at it, imagine an owl is swooping down, and you have a camera on its back. That left jut out, which everyone says is the Bigfoot's head, is the owl's wing. He's swooping down on this creature. And to me, like I just can't unsee it. But I've had people die on that hill. Like they're just absolutely not going to accept that that's an owl. It's a Bigfoot. But like I said, if you look bottom right of that picture, you'll see feathers. And
yeah.
last
Now
time
that
I
you're sitting,
knew, Bigfoot didn't have feathers.
because I remember watching the video about it, and at the time I didn't see it, and I'm like, what? And now, but looking at it, and I can actually see it. It's like, yeah, there's feathers there. And it reminds me of another one where somebody took a picture, and it looks like a Bigfoot, and you've probably seen it. It looks like a big black Bigfoot sitting in the grass. And then they
Yeah,
turn
the
around
one.
and do all the
Yeah,
measurements and find out it was a crow, and it just caught it as it was landing.
yeah, I remember that. And this is the same idea. So this guy on the left, I
Yeah.
mean, this is from one of these like kind of bozo like contrived TV shows on Discovery or whatever about Bigfoot, and he's proving that this is how it was crawling. It's from 2 completely different angles. Like I said, I don't know what to tell people. If you look at that picture on the right, it's a spotted owl. It has the spots. You can see the spots, and it has a left wing, and you can barely see the right wing, and you can see its round head on the top, and you can see the feathers on the bottom, and it's swooping down onto some poor unsuspecting creature. But that is a picture of an owl. I love a good picture of a Bigfoot, and I mean everyone knows that, but this is not a Bigfoot.
My bubble's been burst. Now I see it though, but you're right. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So it's like,
And I think it's okay, man. It's like we have to be honest with ourselves and with each other. And if the picture is of an owl, then damn it, let's call it an owl. But if it's of a Bigfoot, then let's call it a Bigfoot. you know?
No, I agree. That's totally. And there's another one going around that I think Thinker Thunker did it as well. And you probably know the picture where it looks like the Bigfoot's almost like sunbathing, like an orangish color, and with the arm kicked back, and like his legs out in
Yeah.
front.
Yeah, and I think Thinker Thunker was in support of that one being a Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, but it's two bears, right?
well, it could be. That one I'm still a little on the fence of. You know, it's like it looks like it could be bears, but then again, it could be a Bigfoot leaning back on its back arms. I know which one you're talking about. That one has kind of haunted me for years, and I don't want to put a label on that whether I think it's Bigfoot or not.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I mess with the filter and stuff, and it's like, okay, I can see it both ways now is the problem. But this guy
Speaking
doesn't
of
need
not
a circle. I mean, holy crap.
speaking of not being a Bigfoot, um, so this picture came up. I included it because I think that it's very important that we look at the stuff that isn't real just as much as the stuff that is real, right? And this one came up years ago, and I had posted it on our Facebook blog or whatever. And this picture was one of the reasons that our Facebook blog just blew up overnight. And I don't have a way of putting a mouse on this to show people, but if you just look towards his rear end, you're going to see an arcing dark line. Does everybody see that? Kind of looks like a little bending
Yep.
line coming right out of his rear end. That is the metal pipe that is going
Oh,
over to the ground that holds him and makes him stand up.
uh, you're
So
right.
this
You
guy
got to
is
look at
from,
these.
yeah, you guys see the details, but this guy is from Boone, South Carolina. Boone, I'm sorry, North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm not sure. Um, he created this creature and he made it out of plywood and paint and fur and all this kind of stuff. Made it look really real. And his property, the peak of his property, overlooks one of the major highways that runs through South Carolina, right? And so the local police would get tons of phone calls. And there's a Bigfoot on this hill. You guys gotta come out here. And he would get the cops eventually just realized that it was this guy. And I think at some point they respectfully asked him to take it down, and he did. He let a researcher go out there and research it. I have pictures of that too. The researcher went and saw and verified that it was fake. And then after that, I think he built a unicorn in the same spot. Funny guy.
Hey, you got to have a sense of humor, you know?
I feel you.
They, let's see here. Three. Mr. Dennis here. Oh, now I see the face.
Dennis Verstad, yeah. This guy, yeah, he's great. This is another one of those like personal relationships that you create with these, boots on the ground researchers. Um, I think we can all see this is a very clear shot, right? And Dennis Dennis has a lot of shots. He's from Pacific Northwest, I think Washington State actually, and he's got a standing relationship with what he calls a family of Bigfoot. And this is a picture of Dad, I believe, and it's just a very impressive picture. This is one of those pictures, like you said, like I don't need a red circle. I always feel like that, like I don't want to see the red circle. But this guy, there's just no. What else can I say about it? There it is. You want to see a picture of a Bigfoot? Here you go. Here's one. And let people keep denying it though.
Yeah. I mean, you got a face there, arm resting on the tree branch. I mean, come on.
There's probably two creatures in that photo. The one to the back left, where the main focus is. I think if you look over his right shoulder, you'll
Tucked
see
behind the
a
tree.
second. Yeah, yeah, you'll see a second creature peeking out from behind that tree there.
Oh, like you said, if you see one, there's a whole bunch you're not seeing.
Yeah, probably so.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
I agree with D-Boz there. His stuff is legit for sure.
Oops. So what made you decide to to record your screen versus
So,
putting the screen on?
well, here's the thing, Brian. If I was born a beautiful man such as yourself, maybe I wouldn't have done that.
Right.
But you know, but I just feel like everybody does the same thing where they're kind of just filming themselves. And this is no offense to you. Please don't take it that way. I'm just saying everyone does it the same way. Is my point. And for me, I don't need anyone to look at my big dumb face. I just want them to look at the evidence. Tonight, I've decided to film instead of doing my actual screen. I'm doing my I don't know what you want to call this thing, my placard, this sign that I was gifted for Christmas. I love this gift. Um, shoot. D-Boz, is this one you? I forget. I know I sent you a bunch of pictures, so I'm not sure who all's what. But if you look between those two trees on the left, you're gonna see a face.
Yeah, you can see a big old head in between that dome takes up a lot of space.
Is there a moniker on the bottom right of that picture? Because I can't see it.
Uh, I don't see. Let's see. Let's get rid of the.
Oh, okay, so right here, D-Boz is saying yes, it's his. So
Oh,
this is
there we go.
his picture from my Auckland, most likely.
So what's
So
your
yeah, I
take
mean,
on
just
those
I don't know.
photos?
I never, dude. I didn't. I got into this thing because I love it, and because yes, I would love to do this full time, which means I know a lot of people have chastised me for like making money doing this, but I would love to do this full time. And if I ever made enough money to like do it full time, I would. So I don't want any fame. I don't want to walk down the street and be recognized, you know? And I know that that's pretty far from happening, but I'll tell you what, like, if you look at Bob Gimlin, right? The
Yeah.
young Bob Gimlin. I mean, he was just on Joe Rogan, on the podcast. And I mean, he's household recognizable right now. And so I never wanted that, but I did joke with Q. She's like, are you going face recording on this tonight? And I was like, no, I'm saving that for Joe Rogan.
Yeah, there you go. The big reveal for Joe.
Yeah, right. So, and
We well,
I'm not trying to make it a big mystery either. Like I just don't really care to do it.
well, as long as you don't take the approach the Liver King took to try to get on the show, you should be okay.
No kidding. What a scam that guy is. I never liked that guy anyway. This guy, him and I don't have a close relationship. Just a picture I thought was cool. Um, Gregory posted this in one of the groups. I asked him if we could showcase it. He said yes. I do try to do that. I didn't used to, and here's why. If you post something on Facebook, it now belongs to Facebook. Okay. And not in a copyright sort of way. It belongs to the community. It's basically out there now. Like if you get a rock solid picture of Bigfoot and you post it on Facebook, Getty Images will not buy it from you because the copyright has been broken. Okay.
Oh,
So I have every right to go on Facebook and scour and take any image I want and use it in any way I see fit. However, these folks are out there in the woods doing their thing. Some of them put a lot of work into this. So I always find it best to be respectful and just ask, hey, would you mind if we showcase your picture on our YouTube? and generally it's a positive response. So in this case, yeah, this guy, we did ask for his permission. He did say yes.
Yeah, respect goes a long way, you know, even if, I had somebody putting some of my, all of a sudden somebody sending me these links to these videos. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? I don't want to watch this. They're like an hour and a half long. And they're like, dude, you're the first story. And I'm like, what? And so I turn around and watch it. And I don't care if people use it, but like you said, at least be respectful and give credit where you got it. Not, I'm like you, I don't care about being monetized or anything like that. I did this, you know, my history, I did it because I made mistakes. I didn't want people copying those mistakes. But that's a whole nother
I got you. For me, like
story. But
I I am monetized. I want to be monetized. I want to be JMac full time. But I have a 9 to 5 job because you got to make money where it is, right?
yep.
But if this channel were to ever like take a direction and go, take off, well, then I would love being JMac full time. But that's a dream. So
Here's one of mine. This is zoomed in from about 50 yards.
so
We'll
you
get
sent
a
me a few
live
pictures
reaction.
earlier. All right, you sent me a few pictures earlier, and I gave you a quick reaction.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't even look. I was trying to upload those.
yeah,
Oops.
I know, right? You're having a thing. I was having a thing too. It's okay. Um, this one, if I'm being frank with you, I put in the latter of the pictures that you sent me because I was like, some of the pictures that you sent me were like, wow, that's really cool. This one, my brain had a hard time wrapping around it. And what I say about pictures a lot is that I receive tons of pictures, and I don't always put them in the videos because I don't want to be a jerk about things. I don't want to say, well, like, well, that's not real or that's not, because that's not necessarily true. When you're there in the moment and you hear things and you see things move and you smell things, the picture doesn't always depict that. You could take 10 pictures and it might not pick up anything, but that doesn't mean that it isn't real and that it didn't happen to you. So, in that aspect, I try to tread carefully and just be like, in this particular picture, I may not see what you're seeing. That's all. And in
Oh,
fact, in one of the pictures that you sent me, I think you'll find that what you were highlighting, I didn't see, but I saw something else.
oh, I'll have to check your comments. And don't be afraid to, my feelings don't get hurt easy. So I'm old school. If you say it sucks, I'm not going to take offense to it. So don't worry about that. Like,
I
dude,
can only say that I see what I see, and everyone's perception is differently, and my perception doesn't make it right or wrong, right? Um, it's just my perception.
this is one that turned out, I think. We'll see. That tree peeker.
So this is an incredible shot. Like this was when you sent that to me, I was like, "Oh, that's the one." I'm like, that's the shot right there. Um, yeah, like I had this on my phone. I zoomed in real close, and so obviously we all see the tree, but the guy peeking out from the tree to the right of huge cone-shaped head, and you can see facial features if you really zoom in and want to. If you want to see the eye and the nose and the mouth, and he's got a big hulking left arm with a big bicep that's kind of coming down. It's held in front of his own stomach, but it's behind the tree. But he's leaning to his left, and he's just getting that good peek at you, to see what you're doing, right? Um, Incredible shot. I like it. In fact, if you're cool with that, I will. I would love to use this shot in our next upcoming video.
Sure. He was pissed. we
He
came
looks a
across.
little pissed. He looks a little like defensive. He's like, "What are you doing in my yard? Why are you here?"
That's
I
exactly
get it.
what it was because we wound up coming on some babies, and sometime I'll tell you the whole story. But
Sure.
yeah, we came across babies. The next thing we heard were tree knocks from multiple directions, and he's only one of. I saw three. My buddy saw five, and he was the smaller of the two that to me looked like brothers. He had a black buddy that was about maybe a foot taller and just as thick. But
Sure. And what you see is nothing compared to what you photograph. Is that not true?
oh yeah,
Or vice
yeah.
versa. I'm sorry, I mixed that up. What
Well,
you photograph is nothing compared to what you see. When you're out there in the field and you actually see it and hear it and smell it, it's a whole different experience.
oh yeah, and they're you know grunting and breaking uh, tree limbs as they come. That's when you know you better move, otherwise you're going to be a statistic on somebody's else's podcast, not your own.
Sure. Be awesome.
Oh
What happened to Brian? Well, he died doing what he loved,
yeah, the
chasing
bears
the
got him.
Bigfoot.
That's
Yeah.
what the DNR rated up
That's what he
as.
did. Eaten by the bears.
Black bear. He had peanut butter. Oops.
It's funny you bring that up. I have a buddy, Billy with Florida Bigfoot, and he has relationship with. He had to move away actually, sadly, but he left this relationship that he had with a tribe of Bigfoot in Central Florida, and maybe it was I think it was northern Florida. Um, he would leave them tuna sandwiches in containers, and then he would put the container in a box on the tree, and they would go in and they would get the sandwiches. They would take the sandwiches out of the container, out of the Ziploc bag. They would eat the sandwiches and they would zip the Ziploc bags, put the bags back in the container, shut those, and then put them back in the box.
Get out of here. See,
Sure.
that's when you know.
Wild story, man.
That's when you know it's not people messing with you. It's like,
Right. Just the weird little details, like thing is like he got some good photo evidence of it too, but just it's the stuff that you don't catch on photo that's really wild. Like that no one was out here to do this. But when you come back to your sandwich and it's gone and they've zipped up the Ziploc bag,
yeah,
or he takes out a peanut butter container and they lick it clean and then they screw the lid back on and put it back in the box. Okay, so that's a bear.
yep, I have plenty of those laying around my room right now. Lick clean peanut butter jars that I tried once just to see what it would take because sometimes it happened overnight. And I scrubbed that thing with a spatula, hot water, put it in the dishwasher, and I still couldn't get it as clean as that jar came out.
Oh my god, dude! If that thing was on Fear Factor, I don't know how long it would take me to get it clean.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
no, but somebody had to stay underwater until I got that clean, and you know,
Yeah, they're not
sorry,
coming back.
there's one less in the family. So, well, we're hitting about that time. Before we go though, because we know you have a second channel, so let's give you some props and where can people find you? And
Okay, sure. So we're everywhere on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram and all that. And frankly, we're very poor at using all of those programs, all of those apps. So all we really do is we utilize those to boost our YouTube views. So like I'll post that we put a new video up on Reddit. I don't really actually go and check out Reddit. Um, Second channel. Is called cryptic input, a lot like Bigfoot input, but with the word cryptic, not cryptid. Um, but we do stories about paranormal and true crime. It's a darker channel. It's not really for the lighthearted. It's more for I say that we do stories without happy endings. And so if that's something that you're down with, if you like Mr. Ballin or you like, scary stories or whatever else, we have about, I don't know, probably about 20 stories now. It's a channel that we're building and that we have no earthly chance of being monetized because with Google restrictions, there's no way in hell that will ever be monetized that way. So it'll be, if it ever takes off, it'll be something like a different direction. We'll have some sort of sponsor or something, but we're trying. So yeah, please feel free to, if you've ever jumped over to our actual YouTube, we have about 200 videos there, various videos about, we do a section called Cryptids with Commentary, where we dissect pictures like Brian's, where we'll do that next week. And then we also have other videos like, just video dissection and stuff like that. So we do a lot of that on Bigfoot Input. So the other channel is more free, where we just kind of do whatever we want,
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you hang out backstage for a minute, or are you running tight on time?
No, I'm not tight.
Okay. Well, we'll end this right here, and I hope to have you back.
Sure.
Hopefully I didn't screw this up and make it too miserable for you.
You're good, Brian. I'll dig up some of our better pictures and I'll get them ready for the next time.
And I'll actually save them to the right file, so I'm not scrambling at the last minute. All right, so hang out for just a minute, and from coast to coast around the world, everybody have a good night. And thank you again, J Mac, for coming on. Everybody go check out Bigfoot Input and Cryptic Channel and show this guy some love and support. Have a good night.
Shout out to everybody. It's J Mac. I'm out.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No, we're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!